Hello YouTube, whoosh people. What's a whoosh person? You're a whoosh person because you're watching a comparison of flangers? I don't know how to say that. Flanger? I'm thinking it's flanger because the thing on the tape that he pushed on to make it slower was called the flange. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please watch the video for the Strymon Orbit where I explain in depth what a flanger actually is. You can say flanger, you can say flanger, you can call it Frank for all I care. As long as you know you're interested in them and stay with me. So, there are 3 videos for all the products we're looking at today. So I'm not going to go into any detail of how they work and stuff like this. I'm just going to compare. I'm going to compare features, but of course I'm going to compare sounds. And it's a completely unfair comparison. 1 second. Yeah, it's recording. Completely unfair. That's actually what I want to show. Does price really matter? Well, we have the Joyo, or in this case it says Harley Benton, which is exactly the same thing. It's just rebranded for Harley Benton. So there's the Joyo Classic Flanger, which clocks in at $29.95, which is completely insane. Then we have the brand new Spark Flanger from Mooer, very small. And same color, but a lot bigger, is the Strymon Orbit. And we're looking at $29.95 for the Joyo, $79, which is, I'm going to call that mid-priced, for the Spark Flanger. And in the Strymon Orbit video, I said it's $299. It went up. I checked. It's €329. That's not mid-priced. That's not high-priced. That's insane priced. But it's Strymon, and those guys know their shit. Sorry, I got a cough thing. So, if you're serious about a flanger sound and you want the best signal quality, that's definitely, what you should get. And how do they compare in sound? That is what matters. Well, let's look at it. Obviously, the Strymon has more controls. Strymon has stereo out, has an expression pedal in, so you can control parameters, and a lot more than 4 controls. The Spark and the Joyo both have 4 controls, which are kind of the same, but you have a mix control on the Orbit, which is nice because you can actually, just mix a little bit of flange in your clean sound. And you've got 3 different settings for feedback, which is positive, negative, and positive, negative, and 3 different settings for LFO. If you don't know what an LFO is, please look at the video for the Orbit. For logarithmic, linear, and through 0. So loads of stuff, but let's listen to some sounds. I tried to set up a basic whoosh sound. Let's look at it. So the setup, as always, it is going right now into the flangers, which is before the drive. You can also have them behind the drive. It will result in a slightly different sound. So the flangers are going into a Jetta Gold Standard, and the brand new, just arrived today, Milos Popovic Deeper Blue fully analog delay with 600 milliseconds, which is seriously neat. Check this out. Very nice, true analog delay, completely handmade, and there will be an amazing review, of course, of that. So here's our clean sound, which is going into the Sur Badger right there, the little, beige one, I guess that's what it's called. And down into the basement into an Ignator 112 cab, mic'd with a Shure SM57 and a ribbon mic, very inexpensive, from MXL. And that's going into the Universal Audio 4710D audio interface through light pipe into the computer, blah blah blah, Cubase. So I'm just gonna kick in the Orbit. notice how the level of the guitar pretty much stays the same, and also the general frequency content stays the same. Obviously, a flanger changes the frequencies. Duh. That's what gets you the whoosh sound. But there is roughly the same amount of bass, roughly the same amount of high end going on. It doesn't really change the guitar sound, and obviously that's what we want. We want the guitar sound to be untouched. Untouched? What the? Untouched. Wow. Now we're gonna go to Spark. At least it feels to me like that, and maybe you can hear it, that it's not, the guitar sound isn't quite the same anymore. I'm losing some low end, and I really feel that it's carving into my sound. Let's try some lower note. It sounds as if it's a little bit more phasing and actually through the phase taking out some of the low end. Maybe it's just a slightly different kind of, flanger sound. But it feels as if it's carving too much into my sound. So we try the same thing with the Joyo. The Joyo leaves a lot of, the low end there. It feels more like the Orbit compared to the Mooer. Okay, now it feels like the Orbit is actually it's hard to describe, but showing the flanger sound more. It's more clear. It's the clearest of the three. Scary how close the €30 flanger comes to one that is 11 times more expensive. Scary, okay? When it comes to this setting. Tough to say. They're slightly different, but that's a matter of taste in this case. Let's maybe play with some of the... the Joyo and the Orbit kind of feel like you're adding the flanger to it, but your guitar signal is still there. And with the Spark, it kind of feels like your whole connection to the instrument moves one step a little bit back. It's removed from you a little bit. Yeah, that's the only way I can describe it. I'm still connected to my playing with the other two. With the Spark, not so much. Very scary how close they are. Not as much whoosh. Also, the Spark is... it looks like I'm, ripping on the Spark, but this is a comparison, and that's what we're doing. Spark's noisy. Don't know if you can hear this, but there's a clear hum right there on the Spark, and listen to this. Crank up your speakers. Orbit. Nothing. Little bit high-end hiss with the Joyo, but no humming. There's a clear low-end hum. So, it's a noisy pedal. So, let's go into some extreme stuff. Orbit can go crazy. It can go so crazy you don't want that. Okay, you don't want that crazy, but it can. A Spark is a lot more subtle. You can't really get super crazy sound. So let me crank everything up here. That's kind of similar, okay? Okay, and we check it. Similar sounds. Again, the Spark steps back a tiny bit. We compare in another way. let's see how crazy it can go. This is actually for the Classic Flanger and the Spark almost as much as they can do. On the Spark, I'm kinda cranked up all the way. That's pretty much all I can do. Now, Orbit can go very crazy. But now we're gonna look at a couple of things the Orbit has that the others don't, which is changing the feedback mode. And if you do that, it gets very hollow and almost talkboxy. So if you don't want to have a talk box, but want to have that formant kind of sound, wah, that sound. Which gets more pronounced when you go through 0. And of course, with the mix knob, you can just give it a little bit of that. Let's see how far the Classic Flanger can take us. Don't know. Yeah, they simply cannot do those types of sounds. Of course, the Flanger can be a little bit like a chorus, so let's see if we can set up a nice chorus sound. I don't seem to be able to set up the chorus sound on the Spark, and that's something that I don't like about the Spark is, it feels like I don't know what I'm doing. And I've played with this thing for, I don't know, 8 weeks now, maybe longer, and I still don't feel like I have control over what I'm doing. That is partly because the knobs are so that you can't see them, and I don't, I can never remember a setting, and I simply don't see it. If you need one flanger sound, set it up, put it on the board. This might be the pedal for you, especially if you don't want to waste a lot of pedal board space, because clearly the other two are bigger. Sound-wise, for $30, the classic flanger from Joyo is unbeatable. If you want the real deal with everything, look at the Orbit, if money is no object to you. The Orbit also actually gives you 2 flangers in one, because you can do this. Yes, it's got a built-in favorite switch, which allows you to switch between 2 sounds, 2 settings. Pretty damn neat. So it could actually replace a chorus type sound and a wild whooshy flanger. So let's just, for the sake of having done it, look at some classic distorted flanger sounds. So there you have it. I think when it comes to the standard, they call it the gray box, whatever that is, classic flanger sound, the classic flanger delivers for $30. If you want total control, different sounds, maybe even an expression pedal control, and the highest signal quality you can possibly have, Strymon is your puppy. But €329 means you really want the flanger. My honest opinion, out of the three, if I want to spend under $100, it would be the classic flanger. If you don't have enough pedal board space, to be completely honest, when I was in China, I tested it against the Spark, the Mooer Electric Lady or Elec Lady. Immediately it sounded truer than this. So I'm thinking, if you want a small pedal, look at the Elec Lady from Mooer. If you really want that size and you love the sound, I mean, some people looked at the video and said, hey, great, I actually think it sounds more analog than the Orbit, even though it is a digital pedal. Go for it. It's all up to you. Okay? This is what I think, but that really means shit. It's your ears, your head, your sound, your music, your life. I see ya.